Hey guys, it's me Rebecca. So this will be the start of another weekly vlog. It is currently Sunday and so for today the only thing I've really done is like cut the grass because that was needed. Just really did some cleaning around the house to reset for the next week. I was to film my July wrap up, which would have been 2 videos ago, and my word, why I said it was difficult for me to film wrap ups. I am horrible for making notes on the books I read, and usually I forget them by the end of the month. So yeah, but speaking of reading, I'm still reading from my last vlog, My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. I'm still liking it through. My interest is still there, but there's points where I'm like, I just don't really care. This one. Narrator Elena, she has her boyfriend, what's his name? Antonio, kind of stand up to this person who used to live in their neighborhood who caused Antonio's mother a lot of heartbreak, who is now harassing Elena, and I just didn't really care. But we do see the changes the girls go through, especially Lila, who she ends up getting engaged to this guy named Stefano, and when she does, she goes for this like change, not only physically, like she now wears nicer dresses, her hair is always made up, but she also changes like in her personality. Like Elena no longer recognizes her as the bright, intelligent girl she once was, who like wrote a story to try and get rich. Like Lila's figured out another way to get rich, and it's marrying Stefano, who owns the grocery store in town, in that neighborhood, really. And she seems to be content to be the housewife, essentially, to be the role of the housewife to Stefano, to keep the house clean, to help out in the grocery store when as a duty, and we also see how the other characters, how they now view Lila. Like some of the guys think that Lila sold herself, that she's essentially a whore. Like she's using Stefano to get money from him for her family's shoe store, and she now has an air like she's a lady, like she's one of the girls from another neighborhood, one of the nicer neighborhoods in Naples, when she's not. And we also see how Lila is still using Elena, but this time it's because Elena is able to help settle matters with Lila's future sister and mother-in-law, who are making the wedding planning process difficult by constantly disagreeing with Lila's decisions, and it's because they're upset that Stefano has brought her into this family and that Lila's acting like she's the lady of the house, sort of thing. So yeah, and we see like I'm just reading my notes if I keep looking down, just because I don't forget anything, and also this is all in like order of me reading it, and we see how Lila's she doesn't care for anything academic anymore when she tells Elena she no longer wants to read her writing. Like Elena spent so long trying to write like Lila, who she thinks writes nicer than herself, and when she does bring Lila her writing to edit it, that's when Lila tells her to stop, and it's like she doesn't care anymore. So I think with that, it's gonna maybe, hopefully, cause Elena to go off. I don't go off and actually realize she is smarter, not smarter than Lila. Why is my arm hurting me? Oh my god, I'm holding my camera so. But she doesn't need to rely on Lila for her schoolwork. She can do her own thing. Their paths have diverged completely. Like Lila with no longer kind of caring about anything academic, while Elena is still very much involved in that world. So yeah, and we see with Elena's own issues with her, like with love, I guess, because she with this guy Antonio, when really she has feelings for another guy named Nino. But with Nino, it's because his father, who's the guy Antonio confronted, tried to come on to Elena, and Elena, in her mind, cannot separate Nino from his father. So yeah, but so far that's also just fun to me about even from again. Don't really care about relationships and whatnot, and yeah, so far I'm still very much enjoying it. I'm definitely finishing that tomorrow. But yeah, I think that's all for now. I don't know if that's been off today for some reason. I don't know, but yeah, I'll see you in. So it's the next day. In fact, it is the next morning. Sorry if you can hear cars going by. It is currently raining. I mean, it's quite loud. The cars driving by in the water, they kind of can splash. But yeah, and I have done some work so far this morning, and I have also finished My Brilliant Friend, and I'm gonna give this 4 stars. Let me grab my tablet because I did do write some notes. And we see Lila's wedding come into fruition. How there's still some conflict with her future husband, her family, and whatnot. It seems like Lila's family, like her brother and her father, my God, I don't know. They don't want to make the shoes she initially designed. They want to make other shoes, and it looks like they're not selling. As for the conflict is that Stefano, her fiance, he initially invited some cousins of his from, I think, Florence, to speak at the wedding. Instead, it's the father of Marcelo and Marco Sorales, who are basically the neighborhood bullies who think they're better than everyone else because they're richer and all that. Like it's, there's that. And Lila, she amidst cause of the entire thing, like she isolates herself in her room, and she stays away from the whole planning process, and the only thing that she's able to convince her fiancés that neither of this man's sons are allowed to attend the wedding. And yeah, we see how things escalate at the wedding, and how things between the two families seem to be still tense. Like for some reason, Lila's side of Lila's family, they're not being served well. Like during the wedding lunch, they are being served the lesser quality wine. Their food's taking longer to come out, and she's not really doing anything about it. Like it's like there is something mentioned at the end of the novel that I should have probably written down, maybe. Yes, page 329. Elena's comparing the whole ordeal to the plebs. And to quote what she says exactly, the plebs were us. The plebs were that fight for food and wine, that quarrel over who should be served first and better, that dirty floor on which the waiters clattered back and forth those increasingly vulgar toasts. The plebs were my mother, who had drunk wine and now was leaning against my father's shoulder while he seriously laughed, his mouth gaping at the sexual allusions of the metal dealer. So it looks like she's comparing this whole ordeal, the whole wedding thing, to like the church, to religion and stuff from the Bible. So yeah, I didn't like that. And also we see how Elena, she now realizes even if she wants to leave the neighborhood, she's not able to physically with like her mother's grip on her arm and being unable to walk away like Nino was. Like this is all she really has known and all she ever will know. And she also feels like enamored to the people in the neighborhood. Like she realizes that her studying can't help her leave if she has no means, and she doesn't see them. She wrote this article and Lila helped her edit it, but it wasn't published at all. And she also sees how the relationships are changing and she is alone. And we see how she finally realizes she's alone. Like, people have changed, they've moved on, they've grown up, and she's stuck in a place. Like, she's still academic in an academic world, and when she's done with that, who knows what's next for her. There's also the unknown of her future, and as well as she is alone. Like, she ended a relationship, her best friend is getting married and will leave her. Like, a lot has happened to Elena now, and yeah, overall I did enjoy this book, and I'm giving it 4 stars, like I said. And my next read, which I think I'm gonna start later today if I have time, will be 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And let's see if this is okay. Okay, if it doesn't say who translated this, I'm gonna leave it in the description below. But I believe this is a magical realism where we follow this family, the Bundia family, over several generations, and they show the rise and fall, birth and death of this town called Macondo. And yeah, I think it's supposed to be quite weird and quite difficult to read because a lot of the characters' names are quite similar. So yeah, I'm very much excited about that. So yeah, and I'll see you when I see you. It might be later today or maybe late tomorrow. We shall see. So it's later the same day, and I have done some reading of 100 Years of Solitude, and I'm on page 30. And as well, I did see who translated this. This was translated from the Spanish by Gregory Wabasa. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but yeah, so far I'm very much intrigued about this novel. We follow at the start this man named Jose Arcadio Buendia, and he lives in this village where there's like 30 other people, no, 300 people, something like that. And it's quite isolated from the outside world. Like, they're in the middle of nowhere, there's only a river, and the village is built so that everyone's houses are kind of similar, not in the size or shape, but how much heat you get during the day, like from the sun, how close you are to this river and whatnot. And Jose, he's trying to make discoveries, like more and more about the world that will bring him money, that will bring him fame, fortune. Like, he is a man who just seems very curious and wants to learn everything there is. And he conducts several experiments. And when he thinks they're successful enough, he sends people out who just try and bring him fame, but those people, they never return. And yeah, and a few times it seems like there's this group of what he calls gypsies who come to this village, and there's one man in particular named Mel Curatis. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. And it seems like encourages Jose Arcadio Buendia to conduct these experiments. Like, he gives him equipment, he gives him advice. It causes also some turmoil with Jose's relationship with his wife Rosa. She thinks it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of energy. Like, he could be helping out around the house, around the farm, around the land. He could be teaching his sons properly. Like, it seems like he's so absorbed into his experiments, kind of like forgets about the world around him. And that's really just the first chapter. The chapters, they're not numbered, but and in the second chapter we see what really led to him and these people to go and establish their own village. When he and his wife were married, their families were weary about it because the two of them are cousins, and they were worried that their children will have animal features, won't be entirely human, because apparently someone related to his wife, or I believe her name is Elsa, had like a pig's tail or something strange, but yeah, but because Jose was so, I guess, afraid of that happening, he refused to sleep with his wife, and until he does, that seems quite questionable, let's just say. And he and his wife, they leave the village that they're both from initially. When this other guy, he challenges him to a duel. No, it wasn't really a duel. Jose took a spear and stabbed the guy in the neck for questioning him and his, I guess, masculinity. And he and his wife, they both think they're haunted by the ghost of this person, and it kind of forces them to try and flee to try and put this person to rest. So yeah, and we see with Jose's son, like one is fairly normal, while the other one, like the younger one, seems to have like these abnormal abilities. Like when he was born, he could see or sense really that the straw roof was about to come down due to the rain. He mentions to his mother that the pot of chili that she's carrying to the table, which is closed like properly, will fall and will spill, and it does. Like he doesn't do anything. Like he doesn't push the chili on the roof. Oh, sorry, he doesn't push the chili to the floor or anything. It just happens because, well, he said so. So he seems to have some certain ability. So yeah. And yes, so far again I'm very much intrigued. And we see like from points at times like how there'll be a sentence from a future sentence or a future time period. I mean, when Jose's older son, he's at war, a civil war, and he'll mention it like, oh, like it's only later the son who will cross this path and whatnot. Yeah. So I am, I guess, intrigued or like about how isolated this village is from the rest of society, from the rest of the world, really. Like the people in this village, they thought Jose was insane for suggesting that the world is round like an orange. When I mean, I have to agree because I did write down this character's name. When Melchiades, never gonna be able to pronounce it, but he comes back and he's like, duh, everyone knew. Like, or Jose, when he realizes that this village is entirely surrounded by sea and that they cannot leave, when he initially finds this ship, and it's like, how obvious were certain things because this village refuses to let outside influences in. So yeah, so far again intrigued, and yeah, I think this will be my last update for today. My next update will be sometime tomorrow, which I have a long day ahead of me tomorrow, so I'll see you when I see you. High likely I'll be exhausted because I have an early start tomorrow morning, so yeah. the shoreline, I went to Mystic and in the nearby village called Stonington, which is very beautiful. I also went to a couple different towns, and yeah, and I had to help my mom with some stuff very early this morning. Like, we had to leave the house at like 4:40 to take an hour drive, so yeah, it's a long day for me. But a very beautiful day this through. The sky did start to clear up while I was driving home, which, just typical. Like, I'm not surprised. But I have, since I've gone home, have done quite a bit of reading of 100 Years of Solitude, and now I'm on page 102. So far, it seems like a lot has happened quite, like, in these, like, 70 pages, so it's just felt like a bit of a dump, almost. I think in these pages it was just focusing mainly on the community, on it growing, on how things are changing, like, and now we're getting to a point where I'm not sure if the main focus will be this war that's happening, this civil war between the liberals and the conservatives, but yeah, I did make a lot of notes, but it's because, well, a lot has happened. I think the first thing that I want is, like, Jose Arcadio. He gets this woman pregnant, and then he meets this girl who's part of this gypsy community, which is quite different to the one that May Cadiz was part of. His was more focused on learning stuff about the world, while that gypsy community was like about having fun really. But yeah, he leaves, and Ursula, his mother, she leaves to go with him, and then not to go with him, but she goes to search for him. She comes back with more people, and then a girl named Rebecca comes, and with her there's this like insomnia illness where it's like you can't sleep, and it's like you don't need to sleep, you don't want to sleep. Even if people do try and sleep, they are not able to, and they feel rested. But there's also this not consequence, this, I guess, side effect, not side effect, but basically because of this, eventually people will lose their memories. And then Cadis, he was previously believed to be dead, and yeah, he comes back and he cures it. Like, I don't know, I probably should have gone over this, but yeah, I guess that some changes that do occur that are quite significant as well as a magistrate named Don Uppenner Moscott arrives. And he seems first to try and take over leadership of the town before becoming a figurehead. Like, he and Jose Arcadio Bendy come to an agreement that Don Uppenner, he'll do what he has to do, and and Jose Arcadio Bendy will just do what he wants to, and everything will go on as usual. So yeah, but with his arrival, he does bring his entire family with him, including his 7 daughters, and Jose Arcadio Bendia's youngest son, Arlano. I'm sorry if I butchered that, but he for some reason seems drawn to the youngest daughter, who's like 9 years old, which, like, they eventually do set up an engagement between the two of them, but they wait until the girl has hit puberty. Turns out she hit puberty much earlier than expected. But yeah, my word. yeah, like I said, it seems to be going through events quickly, like things were happening one after another. And the two do get married, but something happens to the youngest daughter, whose name I did not like for some weird reason. But she ends up dying while pregnant with twins. And then this priest, he showed up initially for the wedding of our Ariano and his wife, but stayed because he thought the town was like goddess and needed a god. And he seems to have convinced people that God is real, that he has a relationship with God because he drank chocolate and levitated. Which, okay then, I don't really know the, how the, I guess, not relevance, but yeah, I guess relevant behind that one. And yeah. And we also see changes in the people's relationship, like with Rebecca. I'm just gonna start with her. She does get engaged first to this man named Petro Hesby, and their wedding keeps being pushed off due to circumstances, both forced upon by Armanda, who's the daughter of Jose Arcadio Bendia, who is also in love with Pedro Hesby. But it's also due to like other events such as death and whatnot. Eventually, the engagement ends entirely when Jose Arcadio, the son, the oldest son, comes back. He and Rebecca become a item, and they get married. And yeah, and there are changes in the character, and we do finally see the war, how it started with like how it's first really mentioned in this vote. No, it's sorry, I'm sorry, let me backtrack. How it's first casually mentioned in school, and how our Yano's father-in-law mentions it, and then there's a ballad where Don Apaniar Mascotin, like he adds more, he wigs the votes, not wigs, but he adds more liberal votes to the thing to force liberals to go to war, and yeah, war breaks out, and Mariano, like, he gets involved with on the liberal side. So yeah, a lot of shit has happened, like. But yeah, I also probably shouldn't have been reading this book part of today. I was quite tired when I got home, and I would fall asleep reading parts of it, so I don't know if I captured all of it, but yeah, it just felt like a lot is going on quite in a short span of pages, so it's like you don't really catch a break, like between stuff in the plot as well, what characters are going through. Like Jose Cardio Bendia, he seems to be losing his mind because he starts seeing again the ghost of Denso Arbriel, who is the man he killed with his bear, and then he starts mourning the deaths of everyone he's lost. I'm not sure if it's like grief finally catching up to him, but he lost his mind. He destroys his laboratory and tries to destroy other things in his house until the men in the village, they come and tie him up to a tree where he's just went like nonsense, which in the end turns out to be Latin. And as well, like with Rebecca, she had this habit as a girl when she first came in, where she would eat dirt from the ground and white chip stuff from like walls. And when things don't go her way, or when things fall apart in her life, she'll resort to eating dirt again. Like when her fiance, when Petro Casby, like he had to leave and she was unable to communicate with him. I think she resorts to that when her wedding keeps pushing off, and she's worried about what her sister will do. Like, yeah, it does. Yeah, she's someone who's filled with a lot of worries. So I do like seeing the, I guess, mental stability of these characters, just because a lot of them seem to be falling apart. Not really, not all seem to be quite clear-headed at the moment. Like, or I don't know, he seems to be someone who does things like clear-headed things. Like, these are the events that are happening. This is what has to be done. I'm not letting my emotions get in the way of this. Like, he's someone who has quite a scientific mind. He's quite objective about a lot of things, which I do like. So, yeah, again, quite a lot of this happened, and it's just like a whirlwind. Like, what? So yeah. As well, then the stuff like there's the relationships in here are nowadays they'd be quite questionable, but I guess another time they're more acceptable with the fact like, I don't know, he did marry a 9-year-old child, and once they were kid, his son did marry his sister, even who they're not blood related. She came into his family's life way after he left, which he also has changed because, you know, so their parents consider them as siblings even if they're not blood related. So yeah, a lot of questionable things, but I don't know. So far, I'm intrigued to know about what this next part will show. If it will be more war focused or if it will still focus on this family. I know this book is about this family, but yeah, and yeah, that's all for now. All for my rumblings for today. So yeah. So it's the next day, and I have just done some work, and I also had to go and run a couple of errands and from this because I was by myself, and yeah, it would have been as impossible for me to film this because I'm awkward when it comes to like filming in public and stores, but also like when I'm driving, I don't film at all just because that's not safe. So yeah, and I have done some reading of 100 Years of Solitude, and now I'm on page 170. And we are really seeing how this war affects the town, how that even through like the major fights, they're not happening in the town. Members of the family and as well are being executed in town for their resistance and trying to fight the party in charge, which is the Conservative Party, the people who want everything to kind of be like one similar to what the church wants. Yeah, and we see how they're being executed by the firing squad, and we really just see all the violence that's happening in this town. And that's where we see how Arcadio, who he doesn't, when he's executed, he doesn't seem to have any regrets except one that he should have said, and like he slept with some girl a couple times. He has one daughter with her who for some reason, despite the fact she was 8 months old, didn't have a name, and keep up a name for her. But this girl was pregnant with another baby, and he told the name if it was a boy, but he never said what he wanted the name to be if it was a girl. So I guess that was his own name, but and as well, we see how Orlano is able to gain some military power, and yeah, and also again, I'm going through this thing in order of events, but I'm just gonna say with Orlano, like he does rise in the leadership, and that really affects him. Like this war, it's been fought for about 20 years at the point I'm at. And it's almost become Orlano's new normal. He doesn't know anything that doesn't have to do with this war. And like he embraces the loneliness that being a leader embarks on. Like he doesn't let anyone, even his own mother, get 10 feet close to him. Yeah. Sorry, I'm confusing. But yeah, with the but as well, like he allows the execution of people he considered friends, even though they were on the opposing side as he was. Like, you see how he still is kind of reading this like scientific, objectively mindset. Like, this is what's happening. This is what he has to do. This is the way things are. He embraces all of this and then some question like why it is the way it is. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, other stuff that's happened so far is that Jose Cardio was murdered, which is a mystery. And like, his wife Rebecca claims that she was locked in a bathroom, and the thing about the way he was killed for some reason is that it left behind a smell that no one was able to get rid of. Like, they tried all different sorts of methods and whatnot, but there was nothing they could do. Like, even when he was buried, was the smell still coming through the earth. Like, I think, like, many years down the line, they had to build this like concrete thing above that grave just to keep it out. But yeah, and also with Arlano, this was his point. It seems like he really has no faith in the government, and in the so-called treaty talks that the liberals and the conservatives are holding. Like, he is causing revolts, and he went up and down really the shore, starting revolts really. Like, he wants peace all from Alaska to the very bottom of South America, and it's almost impossible. So yeah, we see how war's affecting everyone right now, how death seems to be surrounding them constantly. So I have to talk about this in the incest. Just because it's like mother and aunt and nephew are like together. And but Arellano Jose, who is Arellano's son, and Aramonta, who is Arellano's sister, they had this sort of affair where it started off innocent but gradually changed into something a bit more inappropriate between the two. And Arellano Jose, he left the town to go to war with the hopes that with distance he might be able to forget about Aramonta. But what is it that they say about the distance? The distance makes the heart grow fonder, and yeah, the opposite had happened. So yeah, a lot has changed. But yeah, and still overall, I still find with the events, like, we're going through the events like quite quickly. Like, there was a bit of a slow pace, but honestly, I would like nearly 70 pages today, and we're being told that 20 years have passed. So yeah, so a lot has happened. Like, relationships have changed. People are producing more kids. Yeah, let's just say that in some communities it was a thing that that the people would send virgins into the tents of shoulders. So Ursula, Ariana's mother, has to baptize a lot of his kids. Like, it's this, like, my god, his family is expanding and expanding, and who knows how many family members there will be in. Yeah, who knows what's gonna happen, but yeah. And like, I don't really think, because we are like following this from this entire family and several generations of this family in this one book, which is like 400 something pages, we get close to the characters. Like, we understand their struggles and whatnot, but it's almost told in this like objective way. Like, this is how this character is feeling, this is what they're doing about it, this is what's changing in their life. Like, I don't feel particularly close to any of these characters, which does make sense considering we are following many characters in this novel as well. Not, I am intrigued to see how violence and war changes the character, which is the one thing I'm liking. But also, I'm imagining with that soon we'll be onto something else in this novel. Like again, we're going through stuff like only 170 pages did we go through someone's entire life. So yeah. So there is that. So far, I think I'm liking it so far. Yeah, so far I definitely need to read a bit more slowly, or I don't know. I'm making these notes just to really try and comprehend everything that's going on, because a lot is happening, and I am reading this at a decent pace, but still a lot is happening, so it's taking me a while to wrap my head around it. So yeah, that's my one for today, and I will see you tomorrow for another one. So it's the next day, and I've just done some work and whatnot, and I've also done some reading of 100 Years of Solitude, and now I'm on page 244, and I think I'm kind of starting to kind of like it. Like I said yesterday, because we're not really getting close to the characters. Like, this is a story following the changes being made in this town, the growth of it, and we're really following an entire family, like several generations, and sometimes there's more than one kid in, and like there's a lot of characters we're following, so I just don't feel like we're getting close to anyone in particular as well. We are following like with the main family, but also like the wives of the sons and whatnot. So yeah, I think so far I'm liking it, but so far I'm like I know so far I think the most we've really learned about the character is like Ariano, who I do like his character. Like, I like how he was affected by what he saw in war, how he was affected by how the aftermath was handled by the government, and you mean look at my nose because I want to do that. But Ariano, like, when he seems to just want to erase himself from existence. Like, he tried, when he's back home, he tried to destroy everything that belonged to him. He destroyed the poems he wrote, and even when he was signing this treaty, a photographer was taking pictures of the event, and the photographer was forced to destroy the plate that held his picture before the picture was even developed. Like, he wants almost to erase himself from existence, which is interesting. And the only thing that, if he had been successful, the only thing that would have survived was his signature on the paper that the treaty was on. And okay, there's a point like after the I guess it was the treaty that was signed, he tries to kill himself, and Ursula, his mother, the treaty was signed out of town, and like I guess a territory that was more of a neutral space. And Ursula, who is in the town, she can tell that he tried to kill himself. She thinks that he died, and she says that he died with his eyes open. And I like that idea, like that detail. I mean, like, he was born with his eyes open, and he's leaving the world the way he came. And Arlano, he just seems to have stopped caring about any news from the war. Like, he's content in making these goldfishes and isolating himself from everyone else. And he doesn't want to see anyone or anything that will remind him of the war, which is interesting. And the war is like, will be, I will come back to it, but again, I do like to discuss this novel in order of events. This is how it is for me. But other stuff that's happened is Orlando Segundo. He marries a woman who was sheltered for most of her life. Like, she was unaware that there was even a war. She was treated like she was a queen, or was supposed to be a queen. Like, her parents went into debt, basically, and had to sell off most of their belongings just to pay for her schooling. Like, she went to a nice school, she received private piano lessons. Like, she thinks that she was well off, that her parents were satisfied with what they had. And it seems like her parents were struggling, and her father and her, after her mother died, were living in this, like, isolation where they weren't really talking to other people. And yeah, she is at odds with the Buendia family because they want Ursula, really. Ursula taught her kids the way of old tradition and whatnot, and the girl, Fernanda, I'm sorry if I butchered that, but she comes in with, I guess, these new traditions, with, like, Christian traditions. Like, she is able to kind of change the way things are in a household. Like, a minor example is that the people that they would eat in the kitchen, and she's like, no, we're eating in the dining room, we're being proper. She's having Christians. Speaking of change, we see how the town kind of reacts or responds to new inventions that are being introduced to them. They don't seem to be taking it seriously, and they're not really accepting it. Like, a phonograph, for example, like, the adults just give it to the kids to take apart. Like, there was a point I was mentioning where it seems like they aren't taking these inventions seriously, because the gypsies who used to come into town, like, they would take these interesting inventions and almost make a mockery out of them. Like, they would use them in their show, so it's like, this is all fun and games, this is just a joke. Like, that's how the people are now viewing anything that is new, and they are hesitant to accept anything that is new, which is also something that is quite interesting. And yeah, and there was something that was just a bit weird, and it's like, when Meadows, who's the, I think, the niece to Ursula, she has the name of Gwen Meadows the Beauty, because she is supposed to be this exceptionally beautiful woman, like, outstanding. Everyone is drawn to her. She's so gorgeous, and yet she's really simple-minded. Like, she doesn't really follow the norms or traditions. Like, off the time, like, she doesn't really bother wearing a corset or anything like that. She just throws on a dress and calls it a day, and as well has people thinking of her in a very negative way. I have to say, the R word is used in this novel a few times, and it seems like the only one who really gets her is Orlando, who thinks that she is probably the best of them, but everyone else seems to doubt her. Like, even Ursula's like, nah, I'm just gonna leave you alone. Like, I'm not even gonna try to teach you how to run a household or anything like that. But she is helping Ferrando and Amaranta fold sheets, and then she floats away. So yeah, that was a bit strange. I keep getting notifications, and that's yeah. And I'm gonna come back to the war now, and it's that the war that they were physically fighting for 20 years. It might be over, but alongside it, there is a war that one cannot physically fight, and it is the soldiers trying to get the pension that was promised to them, and a lot of them never seeing an ounce of it. Like, the government said they would see the pension after each case is looked over, and who knows how many people find this war. So a lot of these men, they are struggling, they are living in poverty, they're full of rage, they don't see an ounce of the pension that they were promised when they die, and this kind of brings Orlando to kind of one rage in New War against the government, because things are changing again with this guy coming to try and grow bananas, and along with him he brings slaves, and it's this chaos because it's like the invasion of, I guess, the Europeans or something. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but it is that these new invaders, they're taking over their land, they're taking over the government, and I don't know, like, there's still part of him, like, that will always be at war. Like, that part of himself cannot be shut off. And he went through the New War, and he's someone who he fought alongside with, Gerardo Marquez. He's like, yeah, probably you shouldn't. Like, the last line of page 243 is, I already knew that you were old, but now I realize you're a lot older than you look. Like, war and life has aged Orlando to someone who's seen a lot, experienced a lot, who's wiser above his years, maybe, I think that term is. And he wants to just change the way things are, and I guess for him, the only way that is if he wages a war, so, yeah. So, yeah, still, sorry if it's like, if this review is still all over the place. It's just, this novel is all over the place. Like, we follow so many characters, and we will get passages of the different characters. Like, we got passages about the lives of Jose Arcadio and Orlando, the twins, and we also got the passage about Raimundo's the beauty. Like, it is over the place, but yeah, I don't know. So far, I am liking it a lot. So, or I don't know. I'm very much intrigued in seeing Orlando changing as a person, not changing as a person, as of him kind of at conflict with himself, with wanting this simple life away from everyone, everything that has to do with war, and then this need inside of him to go back into war, because he is, in his heart, a soldier and someone who will look at things objectively, and he'll think that the best solution is one thing. And I also am liking seeing how this town is growing and changing, both because they want it, but mainly because these changes are being forced upon them. So, yeah. But yep, and I think for the rest of the day, I will be doing some more work and whatnot. I'm not sure if I'll be doing some more reading, but if not, then I'll see. So, it's the next day, and I've done some work, and I also had to run a couple of errands and whatnot. And I have done some reading, and I'm on page 314 of 100 Years of Solitude. I'm just finding this to be fine, is because, again, we are following many characters and many events are taking place. And we see how Ursula, like, she is aging. I think now she's, like, almost 100 years old, which I have to say, I do like how she seems to kind of be, like, in the center of the family. Like, with everything going on, like, she's still there. She's still being, like, the maternal figure, wanting things to be better for this family. Like, she seems to believe that this family is doomed to repeat the mistakes, what was the word I used, because I did take notes when I was waiting for something. Yeah, they're doomed to repeat certain tragedies that previous generations of the family faced, like, with the fact that the names, like, Orlando, Jose Arcadio, like, those names are I guess, used to, like, almost hand me down names from the previous generation to the next, and it seems like to this family they are cursed names almost, which is, and Ursula, she is afraid of, or not as Ursula, but other people, like the spouses of the men in the family, they are afraid of what comes with that name because of who the predecessor was and the things he did. So that is quite interesting in my opinion. But I mean, with Ursula, we do see her age, and she's gone completely blind, and no one knows it. And she is really using the fact she's blind, like, just to figure out everything around this house. Like, she's more connected to the house, to her family than before. Like, because of the fact she cannot see, she has to rely on her other senses, like hearing, smell, touch, like you name it. And she is able to figure out when things are weird or out of place, like for Anda. She misplaces her wedding ring, and Ursula easily finds it because it was just on a shelf. Like, it was, something was on that shelf that wasn't there previously. So, and that's what Ursula. This made me go a bit. She figured out that throughout the day the sun changes position, and with the sun we change position, and with it, like, Armanta, she was on the porch, I think it is, like, knitting a shroud. And Ursula bumped into her and was like, "You're not supposed to be there." And then Ursula figured out that with the sun, people moved their seats to kind of be more of the shade. So, yeah, that was quite cool. And but speaking of, I guess how things going on in this family, yeah. But Orlando, he seemed to have like some memory. She said towards the end of his life, it might not be, it might be normal to not remember dreams, but if you are having a dream repeatedly, I would think you do remember it. I don't know, but he would have this dream, wake up, forget about the dream, and then go back to sleep. The dream repeats and so forth. But when he died, or when he was about to die, there was a circus, and he died against this tree, like 5 seconds after he saw the circus, and he completely forgot about it. So yeah, and I also thought, as well, with other does is, it seems like the first generation is completely gone with Aramanta, because she did die and she knew she was gonna die. Like, she saw death allowed her to finish her shot. And Amanda, she kind of was prolonging that by kind of, we need to get around, we need to get, like, trying to make it perfect. She also had her measurements taken for her coffin. She also had the people in town write letters to their loved ones who have passed on, so she could give them to her, like almost a mailman. Like, there is death everywhere now. So death has started claiming lives in a town where previously, like, no one died. So yeah. As well, other events took place, which was a whirlwind. And we also, what I just read was, there was Jose Arcadio Sangondo. He tries to unionize the workers who are on the banana plantation, because they're not being paid well. They're not really being paid in, like, proper wages. They are living in horrible conditions. They're not being given proper medical treatment if they need it. And he tries to unionize them and give them the rights they deserve. But the people in charge, they kind of are manipulating the system, trying to show, like, that this person is out of the country, this person's dead, here's the actual treatment, like, doing everything to kind of allow to have the government think that these people are doing fine, they're just asking for more stuff. And it all ends with the people who are the people who are working on the plantation, they were told to go to this spot where a train would come with a high official, and it was always schemed to get everyone together, and they were gonna kill everyone and say that, oh, everyone unionized and everyone went home. Like, the military, they spread one story on how everything ended in peace when everyone was killed, and which is, well, I guess in a way another sign of war, another like act of violence that is seen in this community amongst these people. She's probably why in this one. But something strange happened. Is Jose Arcadio Sangondo? He is hiding out at Santa Sofia de la Pride's home, and the shoulders come search the room that's padlocked. It used to be a male Katie's room, and the shoulders, they open a door. They're able to convince Sophia to open a door, and they're staring right at him basically, and it's like they don't see him, like he's invisible, which was quite strange. Like, I'm not sure if it's like the ghost of Kid is trying to protect the descendants of this family or what, but a lot of strange stuff is happening. Like, I think there was talk of like the talks for peace and whatnot will happen when the rain stops, and it doesn't stop for quite a while. So a lot of strange things happen, and a lot of things that nothing's really given explanation on why it's happening. It's just like, this happened, it's accepted, it was knack, so be it. Like, Ferranda, she's taken what happened to Remendos, the beauty, as like an act of God. Like, Remendos was God's chosen one or something like that. Or that Remendos was so pure of soul that she was able to go to heaven the way she did. So yeah, I think that's the one thing that's like, like, why is this happening the way it's happening, sort of thing. Like, why are strange things happening? And it's like, we don't get an explanation. So yeah. I think I'm liking this novel overall, but still, like, I just wish we knew the characters more. Really, that's really my main grime with this book, is that of the fact we are following of these characters, we are following so many events, and it's like, how is this affecting everyone? And it's a bit much at times, so that's really it, I guess. So yeah, but yeah, I think that's it for now, and yeah, I'll see you when I see you. So it's the next day, and as you saw, I did go out. I did go to a tag, so which is this grand tag. So I did try to film, but there's a lot of people, and I did buy a few things there. One was this necklace, which yeah, which I like. This coaster. I put it at the table behind me, and I did buy a picture, which I will show you. Yeah, it's a very long picture. I don't know how well you can see it, but yeah, I really like the picture inside, and I really do like I really mainly like the frame it's in. So, and yeah, and also I did go back to Stonington when I was there a few days ago. My mom and I saw that there was this like sign for like a village fair, so we decided to check it out. And it's located in this like field that's right in front of the town, out of the village's library. And I guess the library was doing some sale. I don't know, I got 3 books. The first one is Murder by Degrees by Witu Mukherjee. I'm so sorry if I butchered that name. But this is a mystery. It's a historical mystery. It's Philadelphia in 1875, and it takes place in Pennsylvania. And Dr. Lydia Weston, who's a professor and optometrist, is immersed in teaching her students in the lecture hall in a hospital. And when the body of a patient in a ward is dredged out of the nearby river, the young chambermaid's death is deemed a suicide. But Lydia is suspicious, and she is soon brought into the police investigation. Aided by a diary filled with cryptic passages of poetry, Lydia discovers more about the young woman she thought she knew. Through her skill at the autopsy table and clinical examination, Lydia draws nearer to the truth. Soon a terrible secret long hidden will be revealed. But Lydia must act quickly before she becomes the next target of those who wish to silence Anna. So yeah, it just seemed really interesting, and as well, I'm a sucker for the cover, so. Next book is Prophet Song by Paul Lynch. This is about, this takes place in Ireland, in Dublin, and one evening, this Dublin scientist and mother for Alice Stack enters her front door to find the GNSB on her step. Two officers from Ireland's newly formed secret police and are here to interrogate her husband, a trade unionist. And this is during a place where Ireland is falling apart, caught in the grip of a government turning toward tyranny. As the life she knew and the ones she loves disappears before her eyes, she must contend with the dystopian logic of this new unraveling Ireland. How far will she go to save her family, and what or who is she willing to leave behind? So, yeah, that seemed very interesting to me. And lastly, I got Blacktop Wasteland by S.A. Cosby. I swear I'm collecting his books at this moment. Like I read Razorblade Tears about a year ago, and I did enjoy it. But this is about this guy who was known as the best getaway driver in east of the Mississippi. His name's not once. What is wrong with me? But Billy Bug Montage has never stopped looking over his shoulder. He knows that no matter how long he has been out of the life, no one ever gets out completely. Now he's a honest mechanic, a loving husband, a hardworking dad. But when his carefully built new life begins to crumble, and a former associate comes calling with a can't-miss jewelry heist, Bug feels he has no choice but to get back in the driver's seat. So, yeah, that seems interesting to me. But yeah, overall, it was a nice day, a bit breezy. Besides that, I also went some errands on my way home. I just did some grocery shopping and whatnot. And I have done some reading of 100 Years of Solitude, and now I'm on page 364, and I don't know, with the end of the story we do see family members dying, like Ursula finally dies, Jose Arcadio and Orlando Segundo, they die together, like one twin dies, the other twin dies like a minute later, that. And when they're buried, the people carrying their coffins accidentally got them mixed up, and they were buried in the wrong spot, which isn't neat in my opinion. But it rains non-stop for 4 years in the part I ended last Tuesday, in the beginning, yeah. And we see how that affects everyone and everything, like everything's ruined because of mold and termites and everything caused by the rain. You also see how the family who are essentially isolated with one another, how there's like a tension there, like
they're fed up with one another essentially. And as well with the deaths of everyone, and with Faranda's children elsewhere, Faranda and her grandson, who she doesn't like because he was conceived out of marriage, they are basically living in solitude in this big house because Santa Sofia de la Parde, I believe her name was, she leaves because she just had enough. And yeah, those two are living in solitude, but they're living in solitude separately. Like they stay far away from each other. They do their own thing, and we see how with Faranda she'll put like something down, like a pen or an inkwell down in one spot, and it would have been moved somewhere completely, and it's like, what's going on? She's so confused, and it's like she's supposedly communicating with these invisible doctors. I'm guessing they're invisible because she doesn't really see their faces and she doesn't know their names. But she has symptoms that they don't really know how to deal with because she doesn't really use the proper terms or words to describe what's going on, and it's like it's confusing them. Like they cannot figure out what's wrong with her. So yeah, but overall, this novel is just fine for me. Again, mainly because it just feels like a lot is going on at once, and we are like going through a long period of time. Like I think it's over 100 years at this point. I mean, it is 100 years of solitude, but still, like, you know, what's going on, and there's been a lot of characters. So it's like I just don't feel really connected to the novel at all. And yeah, and speaking of solitude, like the gypsies have returned. Again, they are trying to show the town what they're missing, because the town is living in solitude from the rest of the world, and they're not really caring about these inventions. Like to the town, these new inventions, they're not good. They've only caused problems, and they want to live like a more simple, like isolated life from everything. And yeah, I kind of get where the title is coming from of this novel, but yeah, overall it's fine, I think. And since it is Saturday, that also means it's the end of the vlog, which I'm just gonna give my thoughts on this novel a bit now, just because I do have 50 pages left. But unless something happens in these last 50 pages that I feel like really connected to, which I doubt, it's probably gonna get a 3 or 4 star, honestly, just because probably a 3 star, just because I am finding it as to be fine. So yeah. But that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below, tell me what you've been up to recently. If you want to, please subscribe to the channel, and if you want to follow me on any social media, all those links are in the down bar below. I'll see you guys next time I post